Hoi hoi folks, good morning, good afternoon and good evening wherever you are in the world. My name's Sean, aka Uncle Frogface, and welcome to today's video. If you're new here, then welcome. If you're not new, then welcome back. We are doing a slightly different video today. So if you've been with us for a while, you'll know that last year I created a costume for Halloween. I dressed as Winifred Sanderson. I'll leave a link for that video up here so you can go and check that out. And I love costume making. So I used to be an actor. When I was a teacher, I taught lots of different subjects, including art and textiles. So I love sewing and knitting and all that kind of stuff as well. That's kind of what I do in my free time as a bit of stress relief. So last year we did Winifred Sanderson. This year I'm going to another party where I need a costume. Actually, I'm going to two parties this year where I need a costume. So I'm doubling up. I'm using the same costume for both parties. So there's one at the end of October for Halloween, which is a spectacular, hosted by a friend of mine in Chester who does drag and cabaret and all sorts. It's always a fantastic night. And the other one is for a friend's 40th birthday party. That is the 1st of October. So it's currently the 22nd of September and I need to pull everything together ready for this costume. So this year, so last year Andrew and I did a couple's costume. I was Winifred Sanderson, he was Billy Butcherson. This year we're doing another couple's costume. I will be dressing as Captain Hook and Andrew will be dressing as Tinkerbell. But I've been a massive fan of Captain Hook. Well, all villains really. I know, shocking. I'm a massive villain fan. Captain Hook is one of those ones that has had so many different iterations that there's really a lot to go on when creating a costume. So the actual main costume itself is not going to be that complicated. It's a pair of hose, it's breeches, it's a red coat which I'm going to embellish. All that kind of stuff I'm not really going to show because it's not that difficult. What I am going to be showing you, however, is the kind of centerpiece of the costume, which is of course the hook. So in the movie Hook, where obviously Dustin Hoffman plays Captain Hook, has a very elaborate hook. It's got a very unique design. It covers the whole hand and down here, and I wanted one. When I was a kid, I remember making them out of silver foil and going around and attacking my brothers with them. So I, a few months ago, got myself a 3D printer. So I've actually already gone ahead, modified a pattern and printed out all of the components. So I'm going to show you those and then I'm going to kind of guide you through the process of turning these 3D bits into a functioning prop for a costume. Let's get to it. So here we are, and first things first, you might notice that I don't have my silicone cover on the desk today, and that is because it and I are still recovering from those Sennelier oil pastels that came in the scroll box. Oh dear. Yeah, it's proving really hard to clean, so bare desk for now, although I will have to get it back on for the rest of this project. Let me start by showing you all of the bits that I've got so far. So, it's going to be quite loud. There, so these are the bits that I have printed out so far. So this was a pattern that I found on Thingiverse, which was free to use, and I have modified it. So I've extended this section and rounded it out. I've changed some of the hook as well, so it actually had a little handle at the bottom. I've cut that off because I don't want to be holding something this way inside. I want to be holding something this way instead, so still need to work on that. But let me put together kind of half of it so you can see what it looks like all in situ. There we go, so this is the base, this is what we're working with, and obviously that's the same on both sides and they're going to be glued together. So just to take you through what I've done with this so far, the hook itself I've printed on the highest quality. So you can see there are still some layer lines, but there's not a massive amount. Because of the way this is printed, these do fit together, but there's a little bit of elephant footing here. Even though it was printed this way, that's kind of where it's just spread out a little bit and it's not as neat as it could be. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of sanding there and a little bit of general sanding over to make sure this hook part is as smooth as possible. Now, the hand cover parts I printed in kind of standard quality. You can see there are some layer lines, which I'm not too worried about. There was support material at the top, so all of this at the top needs cleaning up as well. There's some bits on the inside that need cleaning. There we go, just in there as well. And these have like little recesses for the actual hook to sit in like that, so that clips in place. However, quite wobbly, so I'm going to be securing that in place and sealing it and filling all the gaps as well. So I think the first thing I need to do is to glue together the 4 parts of the hook. So I need to sand the edges first, the connection points, glue it all together, then give this a sound to make this nice and smooth. Then I will smooth out these parts and get rid of all of the support material sections and smooth out the inside. And then we're going to be set with all of our pieces ready to go. I will have to think about the handle on the inside and how I attach that. You can see my hand fits in there quite nicely. And then it's about detailing. So I want to do a ring at the top here and here. I want to do some detailing around here and some engraving as well. Well, actually at that bottom part. So some engraving, which means I'll be getting out the Kuliao customizer and planning out a pattern and doing some engraving with that. Right, first things first, let's get these bits glued together. Or sanded first and then glued together. So I'm just going to sand some of these edge parts so nice and smooth and then glue it all together. Right, so here we are. The actual hook piece is now all glued together. You can see it's been glued here at this section and all down the back. So the Gorilla Glue that I was intending to use was not working, so I instead opted for good old-fashioned super glue. It means that I'm not as confident in how secure it is, but it feels pretty good so far. Actually, what I'm going to do, because there is some gappage, so I'm going to sand this so that it's fairly smooth, or as smooth as I can get it. I may even make this just a little bit pointier. Then I'm going to go with some Milliput and really force it into these seams and get it as smooth as possible, and that will also help to reinforce that bond as well. So some sandpaper over here. What have we got? 150 grit, and I suppose I should get sanding. I'll be back with you once this is all nice and sanded and smooth. Okay, right, so I've gone over, I've sanded everything. All of the seams are now nice and smooth. All of the layer lines mostly smoothed down, a little bit of a point on the end as well, nothing that's going to hurt anyone. But yeah, I think we are almost done with this bit. So what I'd like to do now, I'll find it over here somewhere, there we go. So I'm going to use some Milliput. I'm just going to go along where all of these seams are and I'm going to force it into the gaps and smooth it over, and that will just make sure that the whole thing is seamless, but also that we've got a really nice secure bond. I mean, I've dropped this 3 times already whilst I was sanding it. I was not gentle with it and it's held up so far. So actually the Loctite super glue seems to be doing its job. I'm actually very impressed. So I'm gonna mix up some of this and then we can get to filling this. There we go. So you can see now this green where the seams are. That means that hopefully this will be a nice, completely smooth, singular object with no visible seam lines. That's the idea. Anyway, a little bit extra on the bottom because there's a little bit of a step. But you might also see over here a little bit of foil. So as always, I made too much Milliput it's a habit I really need to get out of it. But I just used a few sculpting tools and then sculpted these. Let's see if it will zoom in. Some very small skulls. So I'm going to use these as decoration on the main part of the hook, because the hook in the movie that Dustin Hoffman has lots of decorations on it. So whilst I want this to be a replica, I want it to be my replica. So I'm doing things slightly differently in that, yes, it's going to be decorated, yes, it's going to look like the movie one. When you really get in and look at the details, it will be different. It will be a unique thing. So milliput takes 3 to 4 hours to dry. So I am going to start sanding these pieces, these large pieces, and just get them nice and smooth whilst I wait for all of this to dry. And when we come back, we should be ready to start gluing everything together. It's time for an update. So, all of the construction on this is now done. You can see it looks an absolute bloody mess. That's just the way it looks. It actually feels really nice and smooth. It would have been great to have had some Bondo, some like automotive filler, but didn't have any, which is why I went for the milliput. But I think in future for prints like this, where it's large scale, I want to do a Mando helmet and stuff like that. I would definitely get some filler because I think it smooths out really nicely. It's really nice and sandable as well. But this feels great. It feels really good. So the handle is in. I can hold it on my arm. It is quite loose down here. So I know when Dustin Hoffman dressed as Hook, he actually had padding around his arm down here. I think it looked like a leather vambrace. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do a bracer. What I'm going to do instead is down the bottom here, add some foam pads on the inside. But now we come to a fun part. Now we come to decoration. So I'm going to show you a few bags that I've got over the side here. These are actually some gems from when I was a textiles teacher. So these you can place onto fabric, iron, and they've got glue on the back that melts and sticks to fabric. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm not going to be ironing, but I'm just going to be sticking them on with some super glue, and that'll be the decoration. So I know the actual one has like twisted wire here and here and here and down here. I'm doing this my own way. So this is where we're starting to veer away from the movie design into my own. I also have these ones, which are lovely. Let me get a couple out. There we go. Are you gonna focus? There we are. So these lovely kind of square pyramid ones. So I think I'm going to use a combination of these and the gem ones. I do have gems in different sizes, so I might vary them up a little bit. But yeah, now it's just down to me not being able to use a Ziploc bag. But I'm just going to start planning these out and gluing them in place. Then we are finished here, and it will be down to spraying and finishing. So yeah, I'm going to get cracking gluing some of these on. Okay, so you can see we've got this mess of glue and blue tack and beads on the desk, and no hook because I've got it just off to the side. My intention was to take my engraver pen from Coolio, the customizer, and do some engraving on this, but I might have got a little bit carried away with the beads, and now I think engraving might be over gilding the lilies. So this is what we have here. So we've got some details down here and here, we've got here and here, and all up the top as well. And I think actually when this is all sprayed silver and it's all nice and uniform, it's going to look amazing. I'm really, really excited for this. So that's the next jar. I'm going to give this a little bit just to firm up all of the glue. And then I'm going to give it a spray, which I think the colour I got was Mercedes Silver. And I'm going to give it all a complete spray over with that. Let that dry, and then I'm going to give it a spray with a gloss lacquer as well. So next time you see this, hopefully it will all be silver and gorgeous, and we'll be ready just to do a little bit of weathering. Well, there we are, all sprayed up. Is this perfect? No. I mean, I can still see the seams here and here, but I'm not mad about it because it just gives it that made look, like these are forged lines. That's what I'm telling myself anyway. In reality, what this has done is it has given me a really good insight into what I need to do for future props, basically, and that is to use a different filler, so definitely like a Bondo filler, something with smooth back, and to make sure that I'm sanding thoroughly. I did find in a few areas using the Coolio Customizer actually really helped, but overall all the details on this I'm actually super happy with. So you might notice up here I have these little skull tokens. So these actually, if I show you inside here, can you see? Yeah, so there's a couple of holes on the inside. These are actually the buttons for my coat, for my costume. So I 3D printed this with a gold silk PLA, and then I have used a patina to make that nice and dark. So this is just acrylic paint, really, really watered down. And you can see here, because this is gold, when gold rusts and patinas, it has a green hue. So this is black and blue, black and green, really, really watered down. Basically, you put it on, wipe it off, and in all of the areas where there are recesses, that's where dirt and grime and rust collects. So I'm going to be doing exactly the same thing for the hook here, except I want this to be like an iron stroke silver look. So silver patina actually can be a whole range of colours, from reds right through to purples. Iron, on the other hand, always goes a rust colour, so a red oxide. So that is exactly what I've got in here. This is red oxide. It is a tiny bit of black and just lots and lots of water. The added benefit of this is that it's also the colour of dried blood. So if I need to put any extra down here, it just kind of adds to that effect. So what I'm going to do is take some of this paint, really splosh it on quite heavily, and then just pat and lift it up, and you'll see it will collect in all the cracks and crevices and start to pull out some of those details. So I'm going to do that, and I'll come back once all of the weathering and patina has been done. Right, well, that is all of the patina done, all of the rust. So you can see now it looks much dirtier, much more used. The hook itself I've left mainly clean. I put some dirt on the underside here because that's less likely to kind of be cleaned. Whereas the outside, nice and easy to polish. But yeah, this is all done. If I had some silver rub and buff, I might be tempted to go along and hit some of the highlights, but I'm not going to. I actually really like this the way it is. The only thing left to do is to glue some foam on the inside here. So I'm going to do that off screen because that's just cutting out some foam pads, some little squares, and gluing them on the inside so it's a little less kind of overhanging here. But yeah, this is now the hook for my Captain Hook completed. So I'll get that last bit done and then I'll show you what this looks like properly. Okay, so I've now glued the foam on the inside, and I'm just going to show you this here. This is just put in with hot glue. You can see our little rod in there for holding on to the hook as well. But actually what this means is that this is now a really nice snug fit, and I don't even really have to hold on to the pole and the post inside. Like, I'm not holding on at all. It's really nice and snug on there, which is great, but obviously I've got that extra security of that pole in there, that handle, just to keep everything nice and safe. But yeah, this is the hook. It's now done and completed. This is one part of my costume. So I have a lovely red coat that I've tailored, and some breeches and tights, and goodness knows what else. I've got a nice cravat and lace and all sorts. Wig, hat. I'm going to have a really big moustache and a beard as well. But as for this project, I'm very happy, and we are now completed. So as always, I really hope you've enjoyed today's video, and until next time, goodbye.